Hello everyone, I am Jack and I'm back and I'm going to update you on what I've been doing. I decided that I would try to improve the shape as much as possible. I had to use clay, I didn't have to, but decided to use clay to shape that area. I used a spoon, teaspoon, and a spreader for Bondo. Got it as good as I could. Unfortunately, I mixed the clay a little bit too soupy. It had dried out, so I had to reconstitute it, added water, and it was, I should have just waited, but I'm impatient. I wanted to get this done. So two things. One, it was too soupy in some areas, and two, it had clumps in it that were really harder clay. And so when I would drag the spreader across, it would pick up some of those and make a trough. So I did as good as I could with what I had. Again, I should have just waited another day to let the clay get softer, but I didn't, or even, or whatever. Then the problem is the clay is still really wet. You can see I put my finger on it. It's going to take a day or two for that to dry out. I don't want to wait a day or two. So in the past, I have used Plaster of Paris. I should have used it instead of the clay, but the challenge with the Plaster of Paris is that it stays pliable for about 6 minutes, it says on the instructions. And I needed time to work this area out like I wanted to. So this was probably a better approach. Then what I did was I put the Plaster of Paris on. The first time it says mix 2 parts Plaster of Paris to 1 part water. It's soupy that way. I said, oh, that's not enough. Let me add another cup. This would have made it 3 to 1. Well, the problem with that is it cured really fast. So it became clumpy. You can see that there's high spots all over this. Not a big deal. So then I mixed up another one and I mixed it 2 parts of Plaster of Paris to 3/4 of a part of water. So that was 2 cups Plaster of Paris to 3/4 of a cup water. That came out almost perfect. And that allowed me to take it and spread it with my hand. So you can see that it came out, it evened it out a bit. There's still those high spots, nothing I could do about that. The problem is that the clay underneath is soft, so I can't really do a whole lot with the Plaster of Paris. What I have to do is get a solid layer Plaster of Paris, get it solid enough that I can shape it without damaging the clay underneath. So there has to be a thin film, relatively thin film of Plaster of Paris all over. So that was my goal here. And I took it, spread it with my hand. It's still cold, which means it's not completely cured. So it'll take a little while. Anyway, I ran out of Plaster of Paris. I only had a little bit because I did not plan on using that approach in the future. I've changed my mind, so I'm going to get, I only had a 4-pound container, and it says it only covers 2 1/4 square feet, which isn't very much. This thing's a lot bigger than that. So I'm going to go get a bag of it. The reason I didn't get a bag last time is I use it so infrequently that it tends to get damaged, and so there was no point in buying a big bag and just having it go bad on me. But I've got enough surface area here, I think, because I've still got to do the back of this. This is only the front, so I've still got to do the back. So I should be able to use it. What I'm going to do is when this gets cured enough, I'm going to hit it with 40 grit on my sanding board like I've been doing with pretty much everything. And it's going to take that off really quick. This 40 grit's coarse, really coarse. I think it's still a little bit too soft, maybe not. Anyway, I will try it and see, but that's my plan. I'll hit it right now. If it'll work, great. I'll go ahead and work it. If not, then I'll stop and I'll go to the store and get some more Plaster of Paris. But it is getting there. The next thing is to put the fiberglass on. Now here is the issue, is that I can't put water and fiberglass don't get along at all. And since this is so wet, I'm afraid that some of the water would absorb. Secondly, the fiberglass will probably, the resin will probably mix with the clay. Right now I can reuse the clay as long as I don't do like I did here and mix the two together. Not a big deal because this clay is relatively inexpensive. But anyway, the only where it's thick is right in there. There's probably an inch or so in there. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead. That's why I wanted it a certain consistency, because it's when it's that consistency, then I can make a thin film. I probably won't put any plaster on this. There's really no point in it. It's smooth and flat enough. It was only the areas where the slats were and it had the sharp corners. I wanted to round out those corners. And then this, again, the reason I did this is to cover the clay. I could put tape over it, but tape won't stick to wet clay. So I think this is the best option going forward. All right, that's where I'm at. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to donate. And if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't know Jack. Bye.